What's going on YouTube? This is IPSec, and I just want to put out a quick video on OMIGod, which is the latest exploit to hit all the headlines that targets mainly Linux machines running in Azure infrastructure. It's an exploit against OMI, which is Open Management Infrastructure, and that's a Microsoft package. It's primarily used to manage Azure Linux machines, or if you are crazy and want to do DSC, Desired State Configuration, I believe, on Linux, I believe you'd install this application as well. But the main reason I wanted to create this video is to show people how to install OMI and configure it to be vulnerable on their own local machine, because everyone that's been talking about it has been mentioning Azure, how it's installed by default, and not really install instructions in case you wanted to do it on your own to get IRCs or just play with the exploit in general. And you could always just go and install it from Azure, but I hate giving Microsoft my credit card and spinning something up in the cloud because I always forget to power something down and get a larger bill than expected. So with all that being said, let's jump in. There's already a lot of great information out there on the OMI exploit, so I'm not going to go explaining it first. Instead, I'm going to do what I think is new that I haven't read, is how to install OMI without Azure. So the very first thing I did was kind of just Googled OMI, and I added GitHub in it, and discovered that it's just a open source application from Microsoft. And then I went over to the release tab because chances are the most recent version is going to be the one that is patched. And we can see release notes security related fix. So of course, this is the patched one. So I'm going to go to an old one. This is April 9th. It is currently September 17th. So this is several months old. Chances are this is going to be vulnerable. So I'm just going to go here and look at the version. I actually downloaded this one first. So if I just, let's see, copy link and do, well, first let's actually SSH to a fresh machine. So I installed Ubuntu on this IP, so you can just install Ubuntu yourself, log into it, and then we can wget this package. And we can try to install it with dpackage-i, and we see it doesn't work because of SSL. So this SSL underscore 100 is meant for SSL version 1.0.0. I'm on 1.1.1. So I'm going to go here, get the other SSL version. Even though this is 1.1.0, it's still going to work. So download this, dpackage-i again. Actually, that was the RPM I clicked. Definitely want to make sure you get the deb package. So where is copy link? wget dpackage-i OMI 1.1.0, and we install this service. Now, if I try to exploit it, so let's just go to Google OMIGod GitHub and pull a exploit script. So git clone this. Awesome. Go in here. And if we Python 3 OMIGod.py, we can say -t 192.168.30.136 -c and we get an error. It's not listening on port 5986. If I do SSLNTP, because maybe it's the firewall, I don't see it listening on 5986. So I'm going to like ps-ef grep for OMI to make sure it's running. We see, yep, it is indeed running. So the next thing to do is look in my configuration. So I'm going to do find and then period for current directory grep OMI to see where this configuration is. And it looks like it's in etc opt, which is a weird directory, but etc opt OMI, then conf. And I'm probably going to start with omiserver.configuration or omiserver.conf. And we can see HTTPS port is set to 0. It says default is 5986, so I'm going to put that and then save this file. And we're going to see what happens if we just restart this. So service omid restart. I'm assuming it restarted, SSLNTP, and now we are listening on port 5986. So I'm going to go back over to my exploit. I'm going to run this, and we get nothing back. So the next step was to look at logs. So I'm going to go back into this, search the log level. I'm going to change this over to debug. And the reason why is if I find this, I think it's in varlog. Varlog, maybe not. Let's see, grep log on OMI server.conf. It's probably in var opt omni log, or OMI log. So this is where it is. If I cat this file, we don't really have anything. So let's restart the service again, cat the file, and oh boy, we have quite a bit. So let's just try running this exploit again to see what happens. Looking at this, I'm going to do less capital S. So it doesn't do line wrapping. If I want to read left, I can, or read right. This was kind of gibberish to me. So I decided, let's take a look at the OMIGod script itself. And we can see it's just sending a big SOAP payload. And if we look right here, I just decided to do like print r.text to get the payload, or get the result. So let's do Python 3 OMIGod. Actually, we have to specify the command. And now we're printing the output of the web server, and we see the error message, the target namespace does not exist. So I'm going to copy this error message, and I'm going to go back to Google, and let's add OMI Linux and see what we get. There's a lot of DSC stuff, which is desired state controller. It's a Microsoft technology like desired state configuration to like bootstrap machines and build them. Think of it like Ansible kind of, but for PowerShell and Windows. So I was looking around here, and this one's talking about installing PowerShell DSC for Linux. And this doesn't install the namespace we want. So if I can find the namespace, let's see, namespace, we get this CIM namespace root/SCX. So I added this to my search. So let's see, where's this? Root/SCX. And we, I think, find a package somewhere. Let's see. OMI fails because it doesn't exist. SCX user. That's a weird one. Let's just try something different. Let's try SCX namespace. And what do we get? Not what I was expecting. Wonder if namespace SCX gives something different. OMI. Here we go. So namespace SCX OMI is eventually what I ended up Googling and found this TechNet article. And this is old instructions for installing the System Center cross-platform, which is SCX, I guess. And somewhere on this, it gave me a file. And I was looking for this agent a lot. If I actually went to like the actual post on OMIGod, I think they kind of explain it. I never tried installing it from source. I just looked around for this agent. And I was searching for like SCX deb package, and it took me to like a lot of shady sites. Well, I guess maybe if I just click here, hindsight's 2020. I could have just got this package. So what I had ended up doing is I had trouble finding this package. I'm not sure why all of a sudden I can find it so quickly, but I did in title Index.Of, and I use this a lot when I got to go over to Google for this. But I use this a lot when I'm looking for things, because if I do this, it's just going to search for open directory listings. So that's not a good one, but it's just a good Google Dork to find open directory listings. I did SCX deb, and it leads me over to this Debian package on Microsoft's repository where I can download it. I'm going to try downloading this one since it's on the GitHub. I'm just going to copy link, and we can try installing this. So I go back to my machine, Let's go into root, wget, dpackage-i, SCX, and it looks like it is now started. I'm going to run the command again, and we get output as root. So this is essentially how you configure OMI. Configure OMI, and if you use the outdated version, you are vulnerable. So if you are vulnerable, I'd highly recommend going to the GitHub page and pulling the latest version to update. I'm sure maybe it's in a package manager somewhere, but I know this would work if I could actually search Google. Google.com. Oh man, this is getting annoying. There we go. Search Google for Google. Okay. So OMI GitHub. You can just go over to the releases and download the latest one. I'm sure it's probably in your package manager, hopefully, but if not, this would fix it. So with all this said, we should just jump into how this vulnerability works. So all it's doing is sending this packet, or this HTTP request. So let's send the target, let's see. Let's set a proxy and then intercept it in BurpSuite. So let's do proxies is equal to HTTP 127.0.0.1. I think this is how we can do it. Let me fix that quote. There we go. And then proxies is equal to proxies on the request. Let's open up BurpSuite. I hit Alt F2 there. That's like a Unix, or a general Linux thing in most things to open a thing that will run applications. But let's start this and see if I proxied correctly. That's one of like the snippets of code that I get wrong quite often. It looks like I got wrong right there because intercept is on but not enabled. Port 8080 is not available. Oh, I have BurpSuite listening. Let's intercept and see if it works. Does not. So let's go back here to figure out what I did wrong. Let's see. I wonder if I need to do HTTPS. Probably do. Connection refused. We probably have to set this to 8080. Proxy scheme not supported. Maybe it's http://. There we go. Finally got it. So we can see all it's doing is sending a post request and this SOAP packet. And here the command is ID. And the key thing about this vulnerability is there's no authorization header. So let's go and find this blog post and kind of explain what is happening. So let's go to OMIGod, search it on Google, and it's going to be the one with wiz.io in the domain that you want, because this is the original one that has the most details. And I'm kind of just going to skim it and go to my understanding. You should read this entire thing. But the very first bug, this article is saying everything could be fixed if they just add these two lines, this auth info UID equals invalid ID. And this would fix it because not sending the authorization header creates two bugs. One bug that leads to the RCE and the other one that leads to code executing as root. So because the authorization header is not sent, the variables aren't fully initialized, and this UID and GID default to 0. If you set it to this invalid ID, I think it actually gets set to -1, which is invalid user. So if you get to the code execution spot, it gets to -1 and says, oh, this isn't a user, I'm not going to execute code. But because this one isn't initialized and it defaults to 0, when we get to the code execution spot, it will run as root. So this is vulnerability 1, and if it fixes it, it indirectly fixes the RCE because that code execution will fail. If you keep going down, they talk about the next piece. Let's see where the code snippet is. Come on, where is it? Not there. Okay, right here. And they're highlighting out the good pieces. I wonder if I can just... Okay, this is just a text block. But this if-then is going to fail, obviously, because it's going to receive headers and looking for the authorization one. Authorization does not exist, so this isn't true. It goes down to the else. And then here, it's checking if the auth is failed. Well, the auth didn't happen, so it's in a weird state. It's not failed, so it's going to not hit this check. Because it doesn't hit this check, it goes to this process authorized message, which is where the code execution happens. So again, if UID was initialized to be an invalid user, it goes to process authorized message, and then down where it does the syscall to execute code, it fails because it doesn't have a user. But because that UID is uninitialized, it defaults to 0, and when you get here, it will actually execute the code as root. So yeah, hope that all makes sense. And yeah, the last thing I want to talk about is how these people may have found this bug. I don't know, I've never talked to them, so no idea if this is true or not, but they did mention that it was posted on some issue months ago. Let's see. Search for month. Yeah. So another disturbing issue they found is that the commit had been available in the OMI GitHub repo for over a month. So either they were just fuzzing this application by themselves, or they saw something in Git and decided to take a look at it. So if we just went and Googled like OMI GitHub, oh man, erasing my like default to Google has started like causing issues. If we just Google OMI GitHub, pull up their page, look at the recent commits, we can see one on August 12th. So this is like over a month ago. Let's go to Google, days since August 12th, 2021. 36 days ago. And this post was, when was the post? That's why I was scrolling up. Come on. September 14th. So 3 days ago. So for 33 days, it kind of went unnoticed. And where is the commit? So we can just look at this commit to see the kind of things it changed. Wish there was like a side-by-side comparison. I did that before. Let's browse at this time. Oh well. Oh, split. This is the way I like viewing it. This is the old, this is the new. So we can kind of see what they change. And where is something? So here is the code they're changing to validate that the user's authorized. So let's see, can I get up again? If we look here, maybe I should take this off split view. It's around line 632. So we can do unified view. It's always tough to know what the best way to view it for a video is. That's the invalid ID. Here we go. So right here, they're checking, hey, is this authorization set? We went over this. No, it's not set. And then if the auth is failed, well, it's actually not set. So it's exits out of here anyways, and we get here. And before, this is where it just executed. So now they have a second if-then check to check if the client is authorized. And if they are authorized, they now go to the handler. Additionally, we have this set, the invalid ID, and we can go to the actual thing and see, let's see, view file. Is it invalid? Is it set here? Yeah, we can see invalid is a UID set to -1. So, yep, that is potentially how they found it. I'm kind of curious if they found it on their own and then went to GitHub to report it and like, oh my, they found this like 30 days ago and just didn't notify anyone. And it's like extra scary because Microsoft themselves aren't going and patching it. It's a customer required update. So yeah, or a customer initiated update. Whatever you want to say, you have to update it yourself. They installed the software and it's vulnerable. Or maybe that'll change by the time you watch this video. But that's enough of me rambling. Take care, guys, and I will see you next time.